My name is Andy, and this is the most magical podcast on earth. When I'm not on holiday at Walt Disney World, I'm planning a holiday to Disney. And when I'm not planning a holiday to Disney, I'm talking about Disney, with other UK fans like me who make the trip to Orlando and the House of the Mouse. So whether you're a parks professional or a Florida first-timer, this is the podcast for you. Each episode, I'll be chatting to other Disney superfans to share memories of their magical times, answering your Walt Disney World questions, getting you all the latest news from the parks, and finding out what's happening right now in Orlando. So get your ears on as we take you to the most magical place on earth. This is the most magical podcast on earth as part of the Secret Recordings Network. Welcome to a brand new episode. Yes, we talk about Walt Disney World on this podcast, and we've got a great guest for our next podcast. But on this episode, my journeys continue visiting the 6 castles around the world. Today, we continue from last episode where I left Hong Kong, and we're picking up in Shanghai, a big detailed trip report from Shanghai. If you want to go to China, and you really should, then make sure you listen to all of this episode. But we also cover Walt Disney World as well. We've got some news from the parks. We've got everything that's going on right now if you're going over for Easter. And we've got your questions as well. You can drop me a message. You can follow us on the socials. You can have a look at all the pictures and videos from last week's Hong Kong trip, for the previous Paris and Los Angeles trips, and of course everything from Disney World as well. At Pod Magical is where we are on X and on Instagram and on TikTok. We're everywhere. And you can drop me a message if you've got any questions, like Gina did, who wants to know, Andy, we're going to go over to Disney World later this year. My phone doesn't cover usage in America. Do I need to get a phone package, or can we just survive on Disney Wi-Fi alone? We will not be leaving the bubble. Well, as you've added there, you won't be leaving the bubble. I think you can just rock on with Disney Wi-Fi. It's good enough, and it's everywhere. It's in the hotels, it's in the park, it's even on the buses as well. So I think if you are literally just staying at Disney World, I don't think you need to worry about getting a package that covers you from America. It's always good if you're going with a few people, if one of them has, just for things like Uber and just in case data drops out or anything like that. But yeah, I mean, Disney Wi-Fi is not the best, but you can get by if you're not going anywhere else. In fact, if you're going over to Universal or any of the shops as well, you can usually pick up Wi-Fi anywhere. It is worth giving your mobile provider a shout just before you go, just to go, look, I'm going to America. Am I covered? And if I want to get covered for a couple of weeks, how much is it going to cost me? Because sometimes they'll do a little deal. I had a package added on with O2. I didn't get coverage in America with O2, and I phoned them to say, look, I'm going. How much is it going to be? And they went, oh, well, let's have a look. How long have you been with it? Oh, well, we'll add this on for a year. So now I can use my phone anywhere, mostly in the world, for the rest of the year. Couldn't use it in China, as you'll find out. But if you, it's another option. You could buy an eSIM, which basically, it doesn't mean you have to get a little thing and take your SIM card out and put a new one in. eSIMs are pretty straightforward. The one I use is called Airlo. I'll post a link to that as well, because I can share that with you if you want to have a look at getting an eSIM, maybe going over to America, or maybe one of the other parks, which I will talk about right now, of course. If you want to get in touch and follow us, catch up with all the pictures, at Pop Magical is where we are. So the last episode, as part of my journey to visit all 6 castle parks around the world, I was in Hong Kong. Now, I did say on the last episode, and do have a listen to that one first, probably, I said there's a reason I went to Hong Kong and then Shanghai, rather than going Hong Kong home, Shanghai home. And that is because I wanted to visit China using a tourist visa. Now, if you want to visit China, to get in the country, you need a visa. You can purchase a visa. You can either nip into London or Manchester, where they will sort a visa out for you. It costs, I think it's about £120, £130 for the visa. Or if you're only going to be in the same area of China for a few days, you can get a transit visa. Now, this will let you stay in the area for 10 days, 240 hours. It used to be about 56 up to the end of last year. They've recently extended it. So if you want to visit China using the transit visa, which is what I did, you have to have a confirmed departure flight to a third country. So let me explain. I flew from London to Hong Kong, Hong Kong to Shanghai, and then Shanghai back to London. You cannot use a transit visa flying from the UK to China and then China back to the UK. There has to be another country involved so far, which is why I went Hong Kong, China, London. You get me? You can do it the other way around if you want, or if you're going to Japan. As long as you fly in from one country and out of another, you can use the transit visa in China. Save you a few quid and a little bit of hassle. And as I say, now you can stay there for 10 days as long as you stay in the same region. Here is my first little bit of advice. If you're going to do this, print everything. Literally everything. So when I checked in for my flight to Shanghai in Hong Kong, obviously you can't check in online because it'll say, well, you can't check in online because you haven't got a visa. You need to explain at the check-in desk that you're going to use the transit visa. They will want to know when you are leaving the country and where you will be going to. So have it printed. I flew with Cathay Pacific from Hong Kong into Shanghai and then back using BA back from Shanghai to London. Have all that printed out so they can see, okay, when you get to the other end, you're not going to be stopped. You will be getting a visa sorted out. So print everything, okay? Print everything. When you arrive into China, the first thing you will do, you'll get off the plane and you'll have your fingerprints done. There's little machines everywhere. Everybody coming into China, whether they're a China resident or a tourist, they will do that. You get that printed out. You've got a little slip of paper there. You take that with you, and then you have to fill in a transit form. On this transit form, it wants to know everything. It will want to know the flight you have just got off. So make sure you got the flight number and everything like that. Keep your boarding pass with you. Fill that in. It wants to know where you are staying, not just the name of the hotel. It wants to know everything, full details, address. Did it ask a phone number? Again, have it all printed. Just have everything with you. It will want to know which flight you are leaving on. Again, the time, the date, the flight number. Have everything printed. Take that then through immigration, and there you go. You're in China. They will ask you more questions at immigration. There's a little bit of English that they speak. So once again, if everything is printed, your hotel details, your return flight home, you've got your boarding pass. It's all on that. It's all on that. And they are very friendly. It's not scary at all. It is a little bit worrying going, am I going to get in the country or not? I've gone this far. Will I get into China? Well, I did get into China. The second thing I did, rather than going through all the immigration stress, getting my luggage and then going, right, here I am, I'm in Shanghai. How do I get to the hotel? Can I get a taxi? Is there a bus? Is there a train? I decided to push the boat out and pre-book a transfer. So we were staying at the Toy Story Hotel. There are only 2 hotels in Shanghai Disney. There's the Disneyland Hotel and there's the Toy Story Hotel. The Disneyland Hotel is facing the park. The Toy Story Hotel is just across the road. They're all very near. You can walk from both of them. But rather than stressing when I've got to the airport, I pre-booked a transfer. I've never had this before. You know when you're at the airport and you see people, literally as soon as you get out of departures and immigration, as soon as you get that and you see people with their name on a board. I had that. I had somebody at the airport waiting for me with my name on a board. It took me from the airport to the Toy Story Hotel, which was about 25 miles from the airport to the hotel. Do you know how much this cost me? Do you know how much this transfer cost me? To have a driver waiting for me with my name, and he took the luggage and he drove us door to door, it cost me £12. £12 for a private transfer for the 2 of us. Unbelievable. This was the first sign of how cheap or cheaper China was going to be than particularly going to America. £12. I booked this through trip.com. Trip.com is actually, I didn't realise this, I think it's a China-based company. It is linked with a lot of other apps that you will need when you get to China. In fact, I will tell those now. Trip.com is a very good one. I also use that in Hong Kong to book a few tourist things like the peak tram, stuff like that. So Trip.com is a good one to download. I've also used it in the UK to book train tickets. Things are a little bit cheaper. I bought a 2 Together rail card and it was £5 cheaper to book it on Trip.com. Again, I will share the link. I've got some referral links to that. So Trip.com, that's a good one to book if you want to use a transfer. Also, the other apps, if you are going from the airport to your hotel with Uber, forget about it. There is no Uber in China. They don't have Uber. So you will need to download their equivalent of Uber, which is called Didi. D-I-D-I. Again, it works exactly the same as Uber, and it is much better than using regular taxis because with Didi, like Uber. You just put in where you want to go. The driver knows where you are and where you want to go. There's no language barriers there because you can see it on the app. It's really easy and, again, quite cheap. In fact, just diverting a little bit, near to Disneyland in Shanghai, just about a mile or two up the road, there's a Bicester shopping village. You know the Bicester shopping village we've got in Oxfordshire, the discount shopping village from premium stores? They've got one of those. Yeah, and it is called Bicester Shopping Village. It's the same one, but in Shanghai. So we did go there. It cost me £1.50 for a taxi on the DD app. £1.50. That's how cheap this trip was going to be. So DD is one to download. Again, you'll probably hear about the Great Firewall of China, so you can't use Instagram and Facebook. I couldn't use them on the Wi-Fi, and you can use the Wi-Fi in the hotels and parks. I couldn't use them on the, but when I was using just my regular data, as I mentioned before, somebody was asking about using your phone in America, I did download an eSIM to use in China. So when I used that, I could actually upload things onto Facebook and Instagram. So they do work in China, just not on the Wi-Fi. So again, an eSIM is probably something you'll need, along with the DD app. You will need a good translation app because Google also doesn't work in China. Now, this really doesn't work whether you're on 5G or Wi-Fi. So forget anything that's got Google on it. It won't work. So Google Translate I did download, but somebody said it won't work. So I downloaded a different translation app. Google Maps also doesn't work. So Apple Maps work for me because I've got an iPhone, so that's fine. The one final app that you will really need in China is called Alipay. Alipay. In China, most people use this to pay for everything. I'm talking restaurants, shops, everything. Yes, even in Disney, Alipay. This you will need to download and you will need to link your credit card. So the normal credit card that you would use that won't charge you foreign transaction fees, you just link that. Make sure it is set up before you leave the UK because it will charge you 1 pence just to make sure it's linked. Some cards, if it sends you a text and you've got to verify the transaction, if you leave that to China, by the time you've got your text and you've verified it, it won't work because you've only got a certain amount of time to confirm it. They use it everywhere. They use it in restaurants to order as well. So it works like a QR code. They will either give you a QR code to scan to pay for it, or you can show them your QR code on your Alipay app. In restaurants, they'll give you the menu, you'll scan the QR code, and this is brilliant. This is great when you've got language barriers. You scan the QR code, it brings the menu up, you select what you want, and then it will show you how much it is, and then you just click to pay. So you do it all through Alipay. Again, genius. Absolutely. I think this will come to the UK very soon, but Alipay, you can't really go anywhere without Alipay. There's another one as well they sometimes use called WeChat, which people said to download. I downloaded that, but I didn't use it. On the subject of all these apps, by the way, can I say a big thank you to the Kershaw family. I have never met the Kershaw family. I should get them on the podcast. They do some brilliant vlogs, and I've studied all their Eastern parks to know what to do and what not to do. So a massive thank you to the Kershaws if they're listening. And if you know the Kershaws, give them a shout. I'll get them on the podcast. I'll give you a shout because they are brilliant. Some good vlogs to watch if you're going to China or Japan or Hong Kong. So yeah, Alipay is one to download along with your DD and some translation apps. And then you're pretty much good to go. Language barriers, once you've got those, a smile, a wave, a hello, a ni hao, a xie xie, which is thank you, they will get you a long way. So I got my transfer to the True Story Hotel. That is where we stayed for 4 nights. Again, like I did in Hong Kong, rather than doing a couple of nights in the park and then a couple of nights in Hong Kong, I just thought it was easier. I was going to be there for 4 nights. You know Disney, you've got the safety of Disney. You don't want the faff of packing and unpacking and moving to a different hotel. So I thought, let's just do 4 nights in the same hotel. So 4 nights in the Toy Story Hotel, the cheaper of the 2 hotels at Shanghai Disney. A third one is being built. You can see it being built, but they've not really said what it is. Once again, though, you don't have to just stay in your hotel. You can go and have a look in the Disneyland Hotel as well, which is what I did on the first night because we didn't have a ticket for the park. So I had a little bit of walk around there. It is very beautiful. It's very beautiful. There are buses that go from the hotels. In fact, there's a bus that goes from the hotel to Disney and also from Toy Story Hotel to the Disneyland Hotel. And then there's a boat that goes from the Disneyland Hotel to the park. It's just across a massive lake, the Disneyland Hotel. It's the big lake that's got a massive Donald Duck in there that you might have seen. So yeah, have a look around both of the parks. We ate in the Toy Story Hotel. We had breakfast included. Again, it was just easier thinking, well, are we going to find stuff to eat? Will it be cheaper? So we had a buffet breakfast that had a lot of Chinese food in there, and it also had a lot of Western food in there. And it was interesting to see the Chinese people who were experimenting with the Western food, like they'd have egg on toast that they're trying to eat with chopsticks, and then the Western people, of which there weren't many, by the way, in China. Only on the last day there was a big American tour. Just having dim sum for breakfast along with egg and toast and a few pastries. So that was interesting. And again, it just cuts a lot of hassle having that breakfast included in your Toy Story Hotel. And our room was on the bottom floor, and it was like a 30-second walk, so we could literally nip to get food and come back and brush teeth and head to the parks for the day. So the parks. You probably want to know what the parks are like. Well, firstly, you will need your passport. This is a very important point to make out for anything in China. If you book anything in China, and this goes for your Disneyland tickets, your ticket is your passport. So on the first day, in fact, every day, when you go to the turnstiles, when you go to get into the parks, they won't give you a ticket. I had to ask this at reception when we checked in to go, like, where's the ticket? How do we get our ticket? And she had to get a translation app to say, take your passport. So basically, you get to the gates, you scan your passport, that is your identification. They will then hand you your ticket for the day. So if you book any fast passes or lightning lanes or whatever they're called over there, they're all linked to that. So your ticket isn't in the app, it isn't in the hotel, it's your passport. Really important. When you fill any details in, this goes for your flight, your hotel, anything in China, make sure that your details that you filled in are exactly as they appear on your passport. Day 2, it took us ages to get in because the woman in front of me had missed out her middle name on her passport, so it didn't recognise it for her to get into the parks. That is what we're talking. Yes, they know everything about you, where you are. But again, I quite like it. Just having your passport to get you in. Passport to check into the hotel. Passport to get into the parks. Passport for everything. We did have a couple of days to mooch around as well. So one of those days, in fact, it's kind of more like a travel day. I used it to go around to the Bista village and to the hotels. We had a second free day where we actually went into Shanghai itself, which is a beautiful city. Please go. If you're going to Disney and you're going to Shanghai, please make sure you have a day in Shanghai as well. It's incredible. Go to Yu Garden, go up the Shanghai Tower. It was a bit wet and misty. We went up the Shanghai Tower and couldn't see a thing, but then the fog cleared and it was incredible, especially at night as well. It's on the river. There's like an old side which reminded me a little bit of Liverpool, and then the new side, which is constantly growing, where they've got the Shanghai Tower, and at night the old side is lit up in gold, and then the new side is all colours, and it's just a stunning city, easy to get to, easy to get around, very clean, incredibly safe. I was walking around that city at night, and I was going down streets that I didn't know where I was, just following my Apple Maps, and I thought, do you know what? Any other city, any other place, I'd be looking over my shoulder. But there was something about Shanghai and China. I felt incredibly safe. Again, it was like £5 or £6 for the taxi from the hotel into the city. We'd already booked tickets for Yu Garden, so we thought we'll start at Yu Garden, we'll walk around the city, and we'll finish at Yu Garden at night to sit again, and we'll just get a DD back from there. Very easy, very safe. A few people spoke English, but yeah, plenty to get around. So the park. You want to know about the park? Of course you want to know about the park. That's why you listen to this podcast. Disneyland Shanghai, the newest of the Disney parks, built in 2019. This park is unreal. I'm going to say it now. I haven't been to Japan. Japan now is the only Disney Castle park that I have not visited. I will be visiting that in June and then going back to Disney World in September. But I've been to Disney World a few times, as you might have guessed. Of the parks that I visited, Disneyland Shanghai is my favourite castle park. Now, a lot of people say Tokyo Disney Sea is the best park. I haven't been there yet, but in terms of castle parks, Shanghai Disney is incredible. It is massive. You kind of get the feeling of that when you arrive at the hotel, and just the roads are bigger and everything is just bigger. And when you get to the parks, you experience this firsthand. It is so big. They have built a park within a theme park. They put the park back into the theme park. So as you enter, and we do get early entry, by the way, if you're staying at one of the two hotels, they'll just look at your hotel key pass and they'll stamp it to say that you can go in, and then you go into the park. So early entry, I just use that to basically walk down, not Main Street, Mickey Avenue, get a few pictures of the parks and in front of the castle and the gardens, and then go to Zootopia, which is the new land, which I would assume would be busy later on. So that is what I did with my early entry. So as you enter Mickey Avenue, there is no Main Street. As I say, this park has got no Main Street. It's incredibly wide, but not very long, Mickey Avenue. There's just a few shops around there, but do look at the details of it. You've got Scrooge McDuck's bank. There's Mickey Avenue radio station on top of one of the buildings as well. The details are really cute. There's a couple of little cafes at the bottom, which I'll talk about the food later on. But yeah, as you go in, as you walk in, you can see, well, firstly, before you go under the train station, which doesn't exist because there's no train line in Shanghai Disney, we had Minnie Mouse at the entrance in the topiaries where it usually is Mickey, although Hong Kong had Duffy in there, so Mickey's being served a real injustice at the minute. You go under the fake train station, you're in Mickey Avenue. The castle is so far away. Before you even get to the castle, you walk down Mickey Avenue, and then you cross the road at the bottom there where the parade goes. You immediately into some gardens. There's water features, there's flowers. It was their spring festival, so the colours were just beautiful. All the yellows and pinks and the tulips and the daffodils that they planted were just... This is just you could spend a good hour just walking through the parks and looking at the details. We had lots of little eggs painted as characters as well for Easter. There's water features, and it's kind of like layered. The park is layered before you even get to the castle, with Dumbo on the left. Dumbo is in front of the castle in this park, and then on the right you've got the carousel. So as you could imagine, it really is like a park. If you go to a park in the UK, I'm not talking about a theme park, just a general park that's got one or two little kiddie rides, that's kind of what they've created on a mass scale. And then you get down to the castle itself eventually, which is huge, without a doubt. The biggest Disney castle I have ever seen. Once again, like the one in Hong Kong, because it is so new, it's built to have projection mapping for the fireworks show at night, which I'll tell you about later on. Also have a walk around there because the details on the castle are just incredible. They have a castle show during the day, which again I'll talk about later on because that is outstanding. But that's the castle, and it's so far away, and there are so many pictures you can take of the castle. If you go through your reel on your phone of all the pictures you've taken at Magic Kingdom in Florida, I bet you've got so many pictures of the castle. Go to Shanghai. Again, it's next level because you can take a picture in front of the castle, at the side of the castle, kind of bent down with the water gardens in front of it or with the other gardens in front of it. I found on the second day, another park that I didn't even realise that had little streams and rockeries, and it's just the amount of space they've got. I think it's because they knew the crowds that were going to be attracted. They built it to withstand crowds, but it also looks really pretty. And I think the way they've landscaped the front of the castle as well makes at night so many places to stand to watch the fireworks, although when you watching the fireworks they will close off certain areas, so you need to be early for that one. But just the water features and the Gardens of Imagination, that is what they're called. You've got the Signs of the Zodiac, another little garden at the side of the castle that you can walk through. It's got various Disney characters who represent each sign of the Chinese zodiac. Everything is just stunning, and that is just the castle. That's just the gardens in front of the castle. You've then got various lands around the park, including Adventure Isle. So as you go to the castle, you go to the right. Adventure Isle is where you can find the rapids. A very busy attraction that I didn't go on because, unfortunately, both of the days I went to Shanghai Disney, it was quite cold. I wasn't prepared for how cold it was going to be. I thought it'd be the same as Hong Kong. No, another couple of layers. A big coat was required, and it was a little bit wet. In fact, the second night, it absolutely tipped it down watching the fireworks. So I didn't get to go on the rapids. Unfortunately, maybe next time when I go back in summer and it's warm and sunny, I'll go on the rapids. That's also the area, the Adventure Isle, where they've got soaring although in China, in Shanghai, it's called soaring, ing on the end of it, which is basically exactly the same as a soaring at Epcot, apart from the end, which ends in Shanghai. Not Shanghai Disneyland. The final scene is in Shanghai City. Unfortunately, where I was sitting at the end, the Shanghai skyscrapers were a little bit wonky. Yeah, they had the Eiffel Tower effect where I was sitting onto Shanghai. We've got a new character in Soaring in Shanghai. I was trying to remember her name. I think she was called Grandma Thunderbird. She's like, I really love you. Aren't you all really cute? Again, it's got subtitles at the bottom, so I knew what she was saying. So she's the character that takes you through Soaring. But in terms of the Rapids and Soaring, they're the kind of rides that you've been on before. They've also got a Toy Story Land over at Shanghai Disney, which is very similar to the one in Paris, and also the one that I just visited in Hong Kong. It's got the Slinky ride, the one that just goes round. It's got the Rex. It's got Woody's Roundup. So Woody's Roundup is a bit like the Alien Swirling Saucers. It's that kind of ride, but you're sitting on the little horse and the little cart that goes round. Fantasyland at the back of the castle is vast. As I came under the castle and looked at Fantasyland, it was just, the pavements were just so wide, and there was just extra detail on everything. In Fantasyland, you've got a little Winnie the Pooh area. They love Winnie the Pooh over there. You've got the Honeypot Spin, which is like the teacups. You've got the Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, which is like we've got in Florida. The Peter Pan attraction is over in Fantasyland at the back of the castle. Again, it's like Peter Pan that you would go on in Florida, but plussed. I think that's a Disney word, isn't it? Where they plus everything. The details, when you fly through the window, just the details in the animatronics are just that little bit better in Peter Pan. We've got the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, again, which is exactly the same as what you would get in Florida, although it's all in Chinese. They sing in Mandarin. Apart from hi-ho, the actual words hi-ho are still hi-ho. The rest of the song hi-ho are in Chinese. The ending is slightly different because you don't finish where you finish at Snow White's cottage and the evil queen is knocking on the door. They haven't got that. It's a bit more of a cutesy ending at the end of Mine Train, but the ride itself pretty much the same. Also at the back of the castle in Fantasyland, they've got, which was one of my surprise attractions actually during my visit, Voyage to the Crystal Grotto, which is a boat ride, and it takes you through about 5 or 6 different Disney animated movies, but they've created this beautiful water feature around every corner. So there is a Tangled bit and there is an Aladdin bit. We did this attraction both day and night. It's different at both times. It's such a beautiful ride. It's right at the back of the castle. Again, because I say they've got so much land, they've got this entire water ride at the back of the castle that then takes you under the castle a little bit into the Crystal Grotto at the very end. A bit of a disappointing end to the ride, but the ride itself, I think I did it about 4 times on both days, day and night. So beautiful. Also at the back of the castle as well, and this is all still in Fantasyland, they've got a walk through Alice in Wonderland maze. There's quite a few walk-through attractions and gardens. There's a lot to explore in Shanghai Disneyland. The Alice in Wonderland maze has got a bridge over the top of it. So you choose a door to walk round. There's a little maze and it brings you into the Queen of Hearts garden. It's just so vast. Again, another half hour just walking around that area. In the castle, there's another walk-through attraction. So inside the castle, there's a restaurant, which I'll tell you about later on. There's also a walk-through of Snow White, where you go into a different room and it keeps telling you the stories of Snow White. Again, I didn't really understand it because it was all in Chinese, but because I know Snow White so well, I knew what was going on. It was just great to see. It was a mixture of sets and animatronics and videos. Only a walkthrough. But again, the detail was just so incredible. You really have to do everything. If you're going to Shanghai Disneyland, I was only in the parks for 2 days, and I really did do everything I wanted to do in those 2 days. I think 3 would have been too much. 1 wouldn't have been enough. 2, definitely you need to do if you want to do all the details like walking through the mazes and stuff like that. Other areas, we've got Tomorrowland where you can find the original Tron. Now, I am sure that the Tron in Shanghai is bigger than the one they built at Walt Disney World in Orlando. It just felt a little bit longer and a little bit bigger. Definitely the entrance is bigger. It's a very impressive entrance. Also in Tomorrowland, we've got the Buzz Lightyear shoot 'em up game. We've got some jetpacks. You can meet Stitch. It's very cool at night. It's a really cool area at night, is the Tomorrowland there. The best lands in Shanghai Disney, the newest is Zootopia and also Treasure Cove. Pirates has got its own land in Shanghai. It's such a vast land. You've probably heard a lot about the Pirates of the Caribbean attraction in Shanghai. Let me tell you about that, because it blew my mind. Forget everything you know about any of the Pirates attractions you've been on. Forget Florida, forget Paris, forget the original in California. You go onto the ride and you sit in, the boat is much bigger. It sits, I'd say the boat sits about 40 people. It's a really big boat. You go in and it starts normal. You go past a little restaurant, which is a little quick service restaurant. So it's a bit like the one in Paris where they've got the restaurant there inside the attraction, but there's a quick service one that you can sit in and watch the boats go past. And then suddenly your boat speeds up. At first, I didn't really get my head around this. I thought, is this boat going faster? Sure. I thought this was just a free-flowing boat. And then it goes backwards. And then you are into various scenes that use, again, a combination of sets, but also video screens. But the video screens are just enormous. The screens, the set, they will be over your head. There is nowhere to look where you go, I'm on an attraction here. There is, wherever you look, you are seeing something. At one point, it feels like you're going under the water. There's an incredible transformation scene with Captain Jack Sparrow where he turns into a skeleton. This ride is just incredible. I have never been on anything like this in my life. This is next level. It just shows you what you can do if you have a little bit of money and don't scale back. Such an incredible attraction. Yes, probably one of the best Disney attractions in the world. Is it better than Rise of the Resistance? Do you know what? It's up there. It's just very different. I've never been on a water ride where your vehicle moves and moves you so much. It's not like the original Pirates of the Caribbean rides. They haven't taken that and just plussed it. They have taken a story from the film. So the music that you hear on this Pirates attraction in Shanghai is the music from the film. So basically what they've done, the film was based on the ride. So this ride is based on the film. So it's a ride that's based on a film that's based on a ride. I'm saying definitely the best attraction at Shanghai Disneyland. The other new attraction there, and by the way as well, do spend some time walking around the Pirates Land. There's a galleon that you can walk around. There's a pirate show that they have, an indoor stunt show. Unfortunately, it wasn't operating when I was there. There's a couple of restaurants. The details they've got, a lot of the posters and the little gags, the little Easter eggs that they've got planted around are all in English as well. So just have a walk around. We walked around quite a few times, and every time we just spotted something that we'd never spotted before. So the Pirates Land, the Pirates Treasure Cove, it's just incredible. There's some little boats as well there, the little rowboats you can get in and row yourself. Didn't bother with that. I mean, why should I? Chip and Dale are over there as well. If you want to go meet Chip and Dale, they're over by, well, it's actually the entrance to Pirates Land and Adventure Isle. They kind of connect. So Chip and Dale are over there. You can do a meet and greet with Chip and Dale. I think they now have a little show as well, a little doo-wop show. So you can meet Chip and Dale. They've also got their own shop. Anything Chip and Dale you want, they've got it in the Chip and Dale shop. They love Chip and Dale over there. So yeah, we talked about Toy Story Land and Fantasyland, Tomorrowland, Zootopia. Zootopia is the only land I've not mentioned. That is the newest of the land. There's only one attraction in there, Zootopia Hot Pursuit. A lot of people say, oh, it's a little bit like Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. Yeah, the ride itself is a little bit like Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. The attraction, no. The vehicle, yes. The attraction, no. The queue itself is brilliant because you will go through the police cells and into the police station where if you go into you'll see the cells and there's 3 different size cells. Then you go into the police station and there's a coffee mug and some donuts. But if you look underneath, there's a tiny little version as well. The details I've got. Again, I did this attraction about 4 times because it wasn't that busy, by the way. I really thought, which is why when we rope dropped it, I thought, oh, we're probably only going to get on this once because it's going to be 3-hour waits for the rest of the next couple of days. No, at one point, there was no queue at all. Later on in the day, there was no queue. So we're like, well, let's do it again and let's slowly walk through the attraction and look at all the details. The land itself, the Zootopia land, again, so much detail. It's somewhere you want to visit day and you want to visit night. They've got a great Zootopia shop in there. Anything you want Zootopia. Again, you can spend an hour or two just walking around, having your photographs taken. There's a massive bench that you can sit on, which has got the little cars parked underneath. Again, all the pictures of this I'll put on my socials. I was a little bit overwhelmed. Let's put it that way. There's also a point, very points in the day, where some of the characters come out. I didn't actually see this because they don't actually give the times. But if you're lucky, you might see some of the Zootopia characters popping out of their doors and talking to you. In terms of food, let's talk about food. You know I love the food. Firstly, the first place I went before I went into the parks, the day before we went into the parks, they've got, it's a bit like Disney Springs, it's a little bit like downtown Disney. It's called Disney Town. Now, Disney Town is restaurants and shops, and it runs down the side of the park. It runs parallel to the park. So during the day, they will open one of the there's two entrances. There's the main entrance to the front, and then there's a little entrance at the side of the park, which later on in the day they open, which means you can just nip out. And it feels like Disney Town is part of the park because it just runs down the side. It's easy to come out one door and into the other. So if you want to go and have something to eat that's not in the parks, you can go there. Firstly, they've got a cheesecake factory. Who doesn't love a cheesecake factory? But they've also got a Donald Duck restaurant. Yes, they have a Donald Duck restaurant at Disney Town. Again, they give you the menu, you scan your Alipay, so I ordered on there and paid on there, and then they brought the food over. So there was no language barriers. I had some skewers. There was a pizza that's got Donald Duck's feet on it. I got a cup, which was a Donald Duck cup. I got some onion rings, which were on a skewer that looked like Donald Duck. Everything that they bring it on, the plates, the cups, everything looks like Donald Duck. The theming inside is all Donald Duck. I was in heaven. I love Donald, number one. So yeah, the only place I've ever been to a Donald Duck cafe was in Disneyland, Shanghai. And of course, I said they've got the Cheesecake Factory, a few other restaurants down there as well. They've got a World of Disney. The giant Donald Duck is in there as well. So yeah, a very good addition, a very well laid out park with Disney Town at the side, so you don't feel like you're going away and you've got a long way to walk to come back in. You can just literally nip out and nip back if you want some food from the Disney Town. Other things I ate as well. I ate in the castle. They've got a restaurant inside the castle, the Royal Banquet Hall, which we weren't going to do because we thought, well, there's so many places to eat and there's a lot of little snacks. And we did quite a few of the snacks. I had the Winnie the Pooh pizza. So you can get a pizza in the shape of Winnie the Pooh. Strangely, even though Winnie the Pooh's got his own land, there's nowhere to eat in the Winnie the Pooh area. So the Winnie the Pooh pizza is actually in the Pinocchio Village House pizza house, which was strange. Oh, by the way, when you buy a pizza, it's culture in China not to touch your food. So you'll notice people using either chopsticks or for pizzas, they gave me this little envelope, which I thought was a wet wipe. So I kept it to the end. But when I opened it to wipe my hands, they'd actually give me some gloves. They give me some like little plastic gloves to eat my pizza with. I didn't realise it's not a thing over there to touch food. So yeah, I had the Winnie the Pooh pizza. I had a Mickey Mouse bao bun. So the bao bun was in the shape of Mickey the Mouse's hand. I had that. There's a lot of popcorn of different flavours. There's some blueberry popcorn that I had. Oh, drinks, by the way. Now, this is odd for Disney. It's Pepsi. Yeah, it's not a Coca-Cola park. It's Pepsi, which was really strange. Zootopia's got some good snacks as well if you want the massive lollipop that you might have seen. There's a lot of mousse cakes in the shape of characters. So we had a Chippendale mousse cake. It's a little chocolate mousse, but in the shape of Chippendale. I didn't really want to go into it, but I had to stick my fork into it. The Tigger Tail, which you might have seen, which is just basically like bread. This was available from Cookie Ann, so at the bottom of Mickey Avenue. I said there's a couple of little places to eat. There's a little gelato cafe where you can get ice creams. That's actually Donald Duck themed as well, if you go into that one. And also Cookie Ann, if you're a fan of Duffy and Friends, Cookie Ann's Bakery is in there. The only place I actually found where you could get a decent coffee, but there's some good pastry items in there as well. But back to my review of the Royal Banquet Hall. So yeah, we weren't going to eat in the Royal Banquet Hall, but we were passing and we looked at it and thought, well, we're here. I mean, we could eat in the castle. So we had a look at it and we looked at the menu. It's a 3-course menu. So basically, this is a character dinner in the castle for 3 courses, beautifully presented food, really good food. It cost £45, the equivalent of £45 for 3 courses in the castle with characters. How much would that cost? How much is it to go into Cinderella's royal castle in Magic Kingdom? I think you're talking probably double that. £45. The only thing I didn't understand, so you're inside the castle and it's called the Royal Banquet Hall, and you see the pictures of Mickey and Minnie and Donald and Daisy who are in there, dressed in their regal outfits, a little bit like the ones in Paris, in the New Disneyland Hotel in Paris. I thought it would be like that. However, when we went in, the characters came round, they were kind of wearing streetwear. They were wearing trendy gear, like big chunky trainers and shell suits and baseball caps. So I couldn't quite get why they were dressed like that when they were supposed to be in a royal banquet hall, but incredible value for money. £45 for a character meal, 3 courses and a drink inside the castle. Blew my mind. And also as well, you could do a little upgrade as well if you want to do that, where you can have a private viewing area for the fireworks at the end of the night. So that again is well worth doing. But again, the food at Disneyland Shanghai, the detail they put into how it looks is just next level. In terms of shopping, there was some good shops, as I mentioned before, down at Disney Town. They've got the huge World of Disney store. Most of it is Duffy and Friends. There's a lot of Duffy and Friends merchandise. In fact, in the parks, you have to get a virtual queue to get the new stuff. They've taken over one of the restaurants, which looked like a really nice restaurant, actually, a really nice Chinese restaurant, which is just now a shop that sells Duffy and Friends merchandise. On Main Street, Mickey Avenue, as it's called. Again, like you would in any of the Disney parks, the first big shop you come to has got a bit of everything in there. But you really need to look around. As I mentioned, Zootopia Land, they've got some exclusive Zootopia merchandise in there. Chip and Dale, Winnie the Pooh, they've all got their own shops in their own areas. Toy Story is the same as well. Oh my word, the Pirates of the Caribbean. When you come out the Pirates of the Caribbean ride, the shop there, they have got everything. Anything you can think of pirates-wise, not just like with Captain Jack Sparrow or the branded merchandise for Shanghai Disney. You can get like a Daisy Duck dressed as Ursula, Mickey dressed as a pirate. You can get a parrot. Everything. Like the detail they've got from it, you could go crazy with merchandise. In terms of t-shirts and sweatshirts, that was what I struggled with getting. And again, the sizes were a bit all over the place. So I bought a t-shirt and I bought a sweatshirt. I just wanted something that said Shanghai Disney on it. Both my t-shirt and my sweatshirt were size small. My sweatshirt is too small and my t-shirt is too big, but they're both the same size. Go figure. My t-shirt, by the way, is an Easter t-shirt, but it was the only one I could find because it was Easter. As I mentioned before, all the flowers and the Easter eggs that were out in the parks, it's been decorated up for Easter. The character, oh my word, the character meets. So I met Mickey and Minnie. Minnie was dressed as the Easter Bunny. So yeah, you can meet the characters, but they change the costumes seasonally again. Listen back to the Hong Kong episode. You will know that in the Eastern parks, character meets are a big thing. So prepare to wait, and then if a character is about to be in a parade, about 15 minutes before the parade, they'll go, and they won't be back until 15 minutes after. So they do take quick breaks, but really, if you want to meet characters, pack your patience. Maybe pick one or two that you want to meet, because you're not going to meet them all if you want to do all the attractions and see the park as well. But definitely, you want to meet some characters. So Mickey was the one for me. Mickey and Minnie dressed as the Easter Bunny. It had to be. Duffy and Friends, you can meet Lena Bell down there. She's the biggest one. She's got her own private meet and greet. It was like coming up for like 4 hours to meet her, and they usually pair up the characters as well, which is quite cute. So character meets were good. There's a little Marvel area as well if you want to meet Spider-Man and Iron Man. They had their own little marquee just outside Tomorrowland. It wasn't like an area for Marvel. It was like a marquee. It looked like a bit of an afterthought that they got, oh, Marvel, just stick them in there. In terms of the shows, let me finish by telling you about the shows, because the shows were next level. There's a show inside the theatre. So they built a theatre, a proper 2-tier theatre, like a West End theatre. The show inside there, Mickey's Storybook Adventure, which is the same show they've got in Hong Kong, which unfortunately wasn't operating at the time. But they do have it in Shanghai. It's all in Chinese, but they sing a lot of the songs in English. It opens with Happily Ever After. Yeah, the Magic Kingdom firework music, they've used it in a show, sung in Chinese. The talent on that stage was unreal. We had a Tiana, we had a Tangled, we had a Mulan. There was a little bit from Jungle Book in there, obviously a little bit from Frozen because Olaf was in there. An incredible, it's probably the best theatre Disney show that I've seen in a park or on a cruise ship. It's better than the cruise ship shows. In fact, I wish they would put this show onto a cruise ship. It was so good. To get in there, it's a bit of a lottery system, so you need to go in the app when you get in the park, and it will tell you if you've been lucky enough, and it'll tell you which show to go to. There's about 4 or 5 throughout the day. Or you can fast pass your way in, buy your way in. I would advise that because you'll get in before everybody else. So if you pay for your ticket, you can get in about 15 minutes before everybody and you get to pick your seat. Sit right at the very front, by the way. The very, very front. If you've got the lottery ticket, they will just let everybody in. It's one mad rush. So the theatre show is brilliant. There's also a castle show, which I have never seen the likes of before. The stage show in front of the castle is the Golden Fairy Tale Fanfare. The stage is, because the castle is so big, the stage is so big. And it started off, there must have been about 40 or 50 dancers on stage, dancing, waving flags, and then characters pop out from nowhere. There's an incredible moment with Anna and Elsa comes out of the stage, literally from the bottom of the stage. Anna comes from the other side. They're on these snowflakes that meet in the middle, and then you've got an Aladdin part, and he comes out in this massive balloon that comes out of the bottom of the stage. And I have never seen a castle show with so many cast members. It is huge, and just the setting in front of the castle as well. Really, Walt Disney World, you've got some upping to do if you want to compete to that. There's also a Frozen sing-along show as well. The parade that happens twice a day, well, it did when I was there, was Mickey's Storybook Express. Again, if you want to buy a fast pass for an area for that, if you want to get in to beat the crowds, you can do. It starts with Mickey and Friends on a steam train at the front, and then you've got Duffy and Friends at the end of it, and in between you've got a Frozen section. You've got the Mulan float, was just stunning with drummers, and you've got a lot of characters there as well. So Mickey's Storybook Express is the parade. Again, just brilliant. I've been waffling quite a lot on this episode because, as you can tell, I am still blown away by what I saw at Shanghai Disneyland. The question is, was it worth going that far? Was it the hassle? Was it worth the 14-hour flight? Was it worth the stress of knowing whether you can get in the country and doing the transit visas and not knowing how to pay for things? Let me tell you, hands down, yes. And I cannot wait to go back. I would do this trip again. I would do the London, Hong Kong, Shanghai, Shanghai home. I would do that exact same trip again. Maybe another time of year, maybe like Halloween time or Christmas time to see how it's changed, because there is so much to see. There is so much detail. 2 days, I think you will be fine. 3 days you can do if you want. If you really, really want to dig deep, 1 day is not enough. If you're a big Disney fan, definitely 2 or 3 days. 1 day is not enough. In terms of busyness, again, it wasn't too busy. As I mentioned before, Zootopia, which is the big new attraction that you would expect to be incredibly busy. Sometimes there was no line. Seven Dwarfs Mine Train seemed to be busier than that, actually. What a surprise. So yeah, I would really love to go back to Disneyland Shanghai. It did not let me down. I would love for you to go and experience it for yourself. It's a little bit cheaper than you think once you've got there. Obviously, the flights are more expensive, but really not too bad. Have a look at the pictures. TikTok, Instagram, X, Facebook at PodMagical. My 6 castles journey will continue at the end of the year. I will be finishing my last one. I will be going back to Walt Disney World. But in June, I'm going to Tokyo. So make sure you like and subscribe. Tokyo Adventures coming soon. Next episode, by the way, we're going back to Walt Disney World. In fact, I've got a guest who have just come back from Walt Disney World for her very first visit. She's done Paris a few times, she's done Disney cruises, but in terms of Walt Disney World, first time. What was it like for her? Did she do it right? We'll find out on the next episode. And of course, if you're going to Walt Disney World and you want to talk about it, give me a shout at PodMagical. We'll get you on the episode. Easter holidays for schools at the minute, so maybe you are going off for Easter to Walt Disney World. It's going to be busy, but the weather is going to be lovely. It's going to be nice and warm, nice and hot actually. High 20s, low 30s. The pound to dollar has been all over the place. I mean, this time last week it was 1.32, which is the highest it's been for months and months and months. It has dipped quite a lot thanks to the president and his tariffs, hovering around 1.28 pound to dollar at the minute. The Flower and Garden Festival at Epcot continues with live music at the America Pavilion. Simple Plan this weekend, but next weekend, or the weekend after, 20th and 21st of April, Flock of Seagulls are going to be performing at Garden Rocks. Yeah, Flock of Seagulls, as in Iran, as in Cosmic Rewind. They're going to do that live. You can get a restaurant reservation if you want to pre-book your seats for any of the live acts at Flower and Garden Festival. Over at Animal Kingdom, there is a new baby giraffe who's been born. It's all about the babies this year. Baby tiger, baby giraffe. You can go and have a look at him at Animal Kingdom. In the hotels, check out the Easter eggs. There's loads of decorated Easter eggs all around the hotels at Walt Disney World. The Grand Floridian, the Easter egg hut, is opened now with some little Easter snacks. Over at Epcot, there's also an Easter egg hunt that you can do. There's a parade on Easter Sunday at Magic Kingdom. You can meet Mr. and Mrs. Bunny over at Magic Kingdom as well. Meanwhile, SeaWorld have got their Seven Seas Food and Drink Festival with some live music. In fact, the Commodores this weekend, but that's the Commodores without Lionel Richie. That's over at SeaWorld. If you go in, tag us in your pictures at Pod Magical. Let's get you on the podcast when you get back. I'm going to finish with a top tip. This is something that I only learned this week. This goes for any of the parks around the world. If you want to know how to convert your money without going online and trying to suss it out for yourself, you can actually do it if you've got the iPhone on your app. So if you go into the calculator app on your iPhone, so you open your calculator, at the very bottom down there, there's like a little image on one of the buttons. It's like an image of a calculator. If you press that and go to the bottom, there's a little convert button. If you hit that, you can then do your maths as normal, but also you can see it in various currencies from around the world. So you just need to decide which one you want to use. So hit US dollar, hit GDP, and then you just put in the amount. So if something is $100, you put in 100, and then underneath that, it'll tell you how much it is in UK pound sterling, which is about 76 quid at the minute. And then if you think, well, that's $100, but I'm going to have something that's like $15, so I'll add that on as well. You can do the maths, and it also converts that for you. $100 plus $15, by the way, is about £87.69. There you go. I didn't know that. I learned that this week from this morning. That's the top tip for this episode. Thanks for sticking with me. I know it's been very waffly, but I've just come back from China and I'm just excited still about it all. I wanted to tell you. All the pictures are on the socials. Please hit the subscribe button if you want to listen to my previous adventures from Hong Kong last time. Listen back for that. Also, I've got a report from Disneyland in California and also Disneyland Paris, where I spent New Year's Eve. They're all on there, plus loads of people who've been on talking about Walt Disney World. Gary C and Adam Hatton have been on. Maddie Moat, kids TV presenter who was nominated for an Olivia Award last weekend, she's on that. William Hanson, etiquette expert, he's been on the podcast. You can listen back to his episodes. They're all on there, so just hit that subscribe button, and when there's a new episode, it will land in your inbox, however you listen to the podcasts. At Pop Magical is where we're on the socials. And until next time, please stand clear of the doors.